One of my favorite aspects of the Tales series is that across its multitude of titles over the years, there's a lot of recurring elements and characters that are fun to look for, especially if you've played several titles in the series. For this reason, I thought it'd be cool to look back on a variety of these characters, ideas, and more. The problem is, no one has really ever made a series like this. They always say, be the change you want to see, so here I am today. I'm Malfever, and this is a series I call Earthen Historia, and on today's episode, we'll be looking at an enemy with a handful of appearances across the series, the Sword Dancer. I should note that this episode might contain spoilers for several Tales games, so watch at your own risk. The Sword Dancer is an interesting case in the series as a whole, as it's a recurring boss that keeps the same idea throughout its appearances, but it doesn't really keep the same visual appearance. In every game it's appeared in, it's depicted as some sort of undead fighter and is usually fought a total of 3 times, with the fights getting progressively more difficult. Every successive fight has the Sword Dancer changing its appearance, usually by adding extra limbs and horns. After the 3rd fight, the Sword Dancer usually drops one of the best swords in whatever game it's appearing in. The Sword Dancer's first appearance is in Tales of Symphonia, where it is first shown during the game's opening, appearing much larger than its actual in-game appearance. In-game, the Sword Dancer is first encountered as an optional fight on Asa Trail in the back of the cave. On the overworld, it appears as a large skull and won't attack unless it's challenged first. In battle, the Sword Dancer is a large blue skeleton with 4 arms carrying multiple swords along with a pair of horns. The second encounter with it takes place in Garesha Forest on Tepeala. In this encounter, the Sword Dancer is not only tougher, but sports a skeletal tail as well. The final bout with the Sword Dancer takes place back on Silveron, but this time in the Azalea Forest. The final fight has the Sword Dancer sprout a pair of skeletal wings. After this fight, the Sword Dancer drops the Kusanagi Blade, a pair of swords from Lloyd that are not only strong, but also deal increased damage to undead enemies. Each fight with the Sword Dancer not only gives powerful extra items, but also restores parts of its soul. The first time it is encountered, its speech is very unnatural, but as you battle it, it slowly starts speaking more clearly until the final fight where it is closest to being complete. You learn more about the Sword Dancer in post-battle skits, eventually learning that it is a demon from Niflheim, looking to fight the strongest opponents in order to achieve a complete form. The next appearance of the Sword Dancer is in Tales of the Abyss. Similar to its previous appearance, it is a boss that is both optional and has multiple fights. In this game, however, the Sword Dancer appears as a large animated suit of armor. You fight the Sword Dancer in Coral Castle upon returning after the story events that take place there. Later on in the story, the Sword Dancer can be found near Theora Forest in the Gather Point, and just like in Symphonia, the Sword Dancer gains additional limbs in addition to being a stronger foe. The second fight has the Sword Dancer sporting an additional set of arms and horns. It's worth noting that optional skits in this game also help flesh out the background of the Sword Dancer. A notable difference is that this game's Sword Dancer is implied to be a ghost instead of a demon. The final battle with the Sword Dancer takes place on the Isle of Ferris, once again after some story events. For the final fight, the Sword Dancer has another pair of arms along with a more prominent face. After this fight, the Sword Dancer leaves behind Ultimatus, an incredibly strong sword that both Luke and Guy are able to use. While not a main series appearance, it's worth noting that the Sword Dancer makes a minor appearance in Symphonia's sequel, Dawn of the New World, reusing its Abyss appearance. Instead of being a boss, however, it is one of the many monsters you can obtain throughout the game, being the ultimate form of the Dullahan monster. The Sword Dancer's most recent appearance is in the PS3 version of Tales of Vesperia. True to his other appearances, he remains an optional boss that is fought 3 times, getting progressively stronger, same song, same dance. Speaking of song and dance, the Sword Dancer in this game actually dances as it fights. It's a lot harder to find info on this version of the character, however, due to the PS3 version of Vesperia never receiving an official localization. According to Omega, whose channel you should definitely check out, he's part of the side quest that involves the twins of the Vesperia movie in which you must get back a sword that the Sword Dancer is guarding. After defeat, he drops the Sword of Prayer, which is usable by Flynn. This game's version of the Sword Dancer is more demonic in appearance, looking rather devilish by the 3rd encounter. And that about does it for the history of the Sword Dancer. Unfortunately, the character really hasn't been featured since Vesperia, which is sort of sad. Maybe we'll see it further down the line in a future Tales game. Thank you so much for watching. I've been sitting on this idea for several months now, and I've just now decided to finally take the steps to make this. Big shoutouts to Omega and Master LL for the footage that I used in this video. You should definitely check out their channels, and I'll put a link to them in the description. If you liked the video, feel free to drop a like below, or hell, even subscribe. And if you have an idea for a future video in this series, be sure to let me know in the comments, because I would love to make more. Until next time, This is Malfever, and I will see you next time.